Good evening and welcome. I'm Ankita Mukherjee, and on Left, Right and Centre tonight we focus on the bloodbath in the valley in which as many as 7 civilians lost their lives in firing by security forces. 3 terrorists were also killed and an army jawan, Kishan Singh Rajput, lost his life as well. But when 7 civilians have to die in order to neutralise 3 terrorists, is it time to stop and ask if the cost of the war against terrorists is far too high? As encounters spike and protesters rush to these encounter sites, is the rift in the valley deepening to the point of no return? There's been little or no accountability of the forces, and even today the Jammu and Kashmir police merely said it was looking into the details of the incident. With governors' rule in the state, who will be accountable for this loss of lives? And have citizens equally been let down by the political leadership in the state, which is now expressing outrage over these civilian deaths?
Seven people killed and many others wounded in firing by security forces during clashes with protesters in Pulwama in South Kashmir. Right after an encounter in which 3 terrorists and a jawan were killed. Hospitals were flooded with people who had received bullet and shotgun pellet injuries. Locals say troops resorted to indiscriminate firing and all the dead got bullets above the waist. Among the dead was this 25-year-old MBA graduate, Abid Hussain, who was standing outside his home when he was hit by a spray of bullets. Hussain had returned from Indonesia a month ago with his Indonesian wife and a 3-month-old baby.
टारगेट फायरिंग थी, इनको यही हिंदुस्तान की पॉलिसी है तो और क्या है टारगेट फायरिंग देखो इसके सीने पर फायर आ गए इसके गर्दन में टारगेट फायरिंग है.
After the killings, protests spread and there was a spontaneous shutdown across South Kashmir. Internet services were snapped in the valley. The train service between Srinagar and Banihal was also suspended. Opposition parties have condemned the killings, targeting the governor's administration for its failure to save civilian lives. Separatist groups have called for a 3-day bandh.
I think death and denial has been the only response from Government of India to every dissent in Jammu and Kashmir.
In last 3 years, more than 300 civilians have been killed in Kashmir, but not a single killing has been investigated and guilty was punished. Today's civilian killings and security force firing has once again raised the question, how long state of impunity will continue in Kashmir? In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
Joining us tonight, Aga Ruhullah, Chief Spokesperson of the National Conference. Rahul Jalali, Senior Journalist, is with us tonight, as is Deshratan Nigam, Political Analyst and Lawyer. Mr. Ruhullah, let me begin with you. When 7 civilians lose their lives in order to kill 3 militants, is it time to ask about the costs of these operations?
The time was long back. We have been telling this to the nation that the cost of the encounters or the operation ever since this establishment took place in the center has been very high, and one fails to understand is the objective of these operations, is the government of India aiming at ending the militancy or killing the militants. Look, there is a difference. If they want to eliminate militants, then this is a theater which they are playing out to the vote bank out in the rest of the nation. If they want to end the militancy, which makes a huge difference, then they need to get back to the drawing board and draw a strategy which allows them to avoid these collateral damages, which only add to the number of militants which are created out of these circumstances in which these operations are carried out. These collateral damages, these killings of civilians only add to the sense of alienation, and this only helps the cause for militancy and the sense of alienation. Therefore, one fails to understand, are they aiming at ending the militancy, or they want to end the militants no matter what the number is? Are they playing the mathematical operations, mathematical game out here, or they have a genuine strategy with which they can end the militancy? Because the militancy cannot be ended by mere killing militants, and in such way where you have circumstances in which you have collateral damage, you kill civilians, which only gives rise to the number of militants which is much greater than the militants that you killed.
Right.
Therefore, this fails us, and the fear that we have expressed time and again, these operations are counterproductive, and the government of India has failed us, failed the people of Jammu and Kashmir, and the conscience of the nation, which does not ask the question of the establishment that why the number of civilians killed in the encounters outnumbers the militants that are killed in the encounters.
Deshat and Nigam, come in on this point. You know, the people who were killed today, an MBA graduate who had just returned from Indonesia, his wife, Indonesian wife, and 3-month-old child were at home. A student, an office goer, these are innocent bystanders, clearly. If there is even a remote chance of civilians getting killed during military operations, does it not make just normal sense to call off such operations?
Certainly not. Let us make a distinction here. Elimination of terrorism is a prime objective and goal, and it cannot be stopped and should not be stopped.
But at the cost of civilian lives?
See, civilians, when they come out in support of the terrorist and start pelting stones, or I'm not talking about this specific example, and they come and first a warning is given, and then only certain other steps are taken. And if you recall also in earlier certain encounters, they came in the line of fire to help terrorists escape also. See, one has to,
even then,
one has to
understand.
We
don't know all the details of this particular encounter. It doesn't seem as though these were hostile protesters who were throwing stones at that point.
So
let's not speculate about that. But even
if
that were the case,
nobody should jump again.
Is firing bullets at protesters the only recourse?
Pellet guns were also used here.
Yes,
there were some
yes,
injuries,
indeed, and there are over 70 people with serious pellet injuries.
See, the security forces are trained not to harm civilians in the first instance. That is their absolute training. They do not want to harm civilians unless and until they are threatened. And so security personnel also have to defend themselves when there is a mob coming at them. And the citizens of this country, or especially in Kashmir, also have to realize, please don't take on the army, please don't take on the police. They are doing their duty. They are targeting the terrorists, not the citizens. When you come in the line of fire, when you start, being hostile to the army and you attack army, we don't know, but there have been examples like that.
But our appeals from the Jammu and Kashmir police, and now Rahul Jalali, I want you to come in as well. Can the police abdicate responsibility with just a plea saying civilians shouldn't rush towards encounter sites, but then once that happens, is it out of their hands altogether?
Certainly they can't abdicate their responsibility. But let me come to this particular encounter. I feel that this was completely out of the ordinary. It was wanton, completely unnecessary, the kind of killings which have happened, and not in the pattern of anti-terrorist operations which have taken place in Kashmir. I do not think it was necessary to do what has happened there, where I'm not only talking of 7 deaths, but the number of injuries which have taken place. It gives a wrong message out, and the agenda of solving Kashmir takes a beating with such incidents. That's number one. Secondly, when you come to police, I think when it comes to handling stone pelters, things have been on the ground. A template had been laid out as early as 1 year ago, where the police had identified whom they called handlers. At that time, about 82 of them, who would use the WhatsApp messaging sites to motivate stone pelters to come and be operative in areas of encounters. So what has the police done about it? Nothing. Secondly, control, when an operation goes out in Kashmir, the control of the stone pelters rests completely with the police, not with the army. Now, also, I think army has shown restraint. What happened in this case? I think this needs to be examined. Third, I'm also talking about the political parties. I don't know the gentleman, I couldn't see him, who was talking about it. It's a thing which I've been hearing time and time again. Look, where is their political intervention in the whole situation? And I'm talking of mainstream political parties in the valley. You cannot just sort of indulge in rhetoric and say this is wrong, that's wrong.
Absolutely.
What
Rahul
are you
Jalali,
doing?
let's take that.
And
let's
also calls
yes.
to
Let's in fact take that to
Yes.
the political panelists
I mean,
who are
answerable.
with
They
us
get
tonight. I want both Aga Ruhollah and Wahidur Rahman of the PDP, who is just joining us on the program. It's all very well to outrage on social media, to talk about the human cost, to talk about the alienation in the valley, to raise questions about, governor's rule and, that it's only meant to keep law and order in place, and even that is actually not happening. It's all very well to do that. But, there are those tonight who are also asking whether the political leadership of Jammu and Kashmir has failed its citizens or not. Wahidur Rahman.
We have failed, yes, because we are bound to fail when there is no support from the center on the initiative of peace. Look, we are not a killing machine in state of Jammu and Kashmir, whether it's PDP or any political party. They want us to kill our own people. It's very difficult that we are living in a country where you expect to win people through the barrel of gun. That is becoming very difficult. We formed an alliance with BJP with an idea that BJP will support our initiative for peace, dialogue and reconciliation. We wanted engagement with Pakistan, not because we are cozy with Pakistan, because Pakistan is responsible for infiltration, for peace and law and order in Jammu and Kashmir. You saw terror attacks, you saw militancy, you have infiltration going on. Who do you talk to? If you don't talk to Pakistan, it affects us. Has not talking to Pakistan helped the peace process in Jammu and Kashmir? No. So why don't you talk to them? We continuously tell government of India to talk with the Hurriyat. We tell them to request them to talk with Hurriyat. They don't want to talk with Hurriyat.
Has the fact that there is a political vacuum in Jammu and Kashmir helped either?
Yeah, how will that help if there is no political will from government of India, from Delhi? How do you expect regional political parties? We are disarmed. We are just, appealing government of India to engage with Hurriyat. They don't want to talk with Hurriyat. They just advocate slogans. They just make, hate slogans against Kashmir, against militancy, against terrorism, and against Pakistan, and do nothing. That may help Modi to win votes, but that's not going to create peace in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. It's unfortunate that Kashmir is being used as a fodder to the voters in the country, and abusing Pakistan is helping them to consolidate in the rest of the country. And that's unfortunate part.
Without going into the larger sort of ramifications of that, Rahul Jalali, you had a point to make. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, yes. I mean, look at the answer. If it's between centre and Hurriyat, then what are they doing? They might as well pack up and go home. What is their political contribution? Nothing. I think this kind of answer doesn't warrant a political party which calls itself mainstream and says they represent Kashmiri people. If they do something about it. You can't transfer your responsibility onto the centre or to Hurriyat and then ask the centre to talk to Pakistan. Why then do you get elected? For what?
We don't.
I mean, look at the kind of state of annoyance these guys are in.
And make
this
them,
is not the answer.
Okay, fair enough. We're staying too far. Rahul Jalali.
They have to take on responsibility for what's happening in Kashmir.
Okay, absolutely. Would you say, Mr. Ruhollah, that you cannot abdicate responsibility either as mainstream political leaders of Jammu and Kashmir? It's not enough to say, it's the center, it's a failed Jammu and Kashmir policy, it's this, it's that, and a whole lot of things as civilians continue to die, as these encounters continue to happen. The other big question, of course, the fact that there have been as many as 300 civilian killings in the last 3 years. Why has there not even been a single inquiry into this? Why have none of the guilty been punished? Now, Deshrata Nigam, this is something that obviously needs to be looked at.
Thank you.
First, your
thank you so much. Thank you so much for putting that
clearly blaming
and let me answer.
The question has been asked to me.
All right, I'm going to come to you, Aga Ruhollah, in a moment. But
I think it was asked at me.
No, I'll just come to you in a moment. Please go ahead.
See, you've straight away blamed the army that they are guilty, or the police, or the CRPF. You have to see.
If anything, the army seems to have the security establishment has absolute impunity.
Where is
any guilt established?
See, if they come out and straight away shoot somebody innocent, they are guilty. But suppose there is a terrorist operation and the local population, who are some of them maybe sympathizers of the terrorists, come in the line of fire, helping the terrorists escape, there is bound to be collateral damage. The citizens have to understand, do not come in between the operations which are taking place.
300 civilian killings in the last 3 years
Yes,
is collateral
yes.
damage. Agar Rohullah, come in on this. Why no inquiry? Why has no one been held to account for these deaths? 300 deaths in 3 years.
I am
That's
sure
no joke.
inquiry
Because-
must be going on. It's not that
And-
the
and-
inquiry
That's the
an
point where
inquiry
the
that does
center
not
fails
result
us
in anything.
and gravely fails.
Yes, go ahead, Agar Rohullah. Sorry.
That's the point where center fails us. You have been talking about the responsibilities of the mainstream parties in Jammu and Kashmir. We took the responsibility. We filled the vacuum after 1990s. We took the responsibility of contesting elections and being the people's voice. Then we came up with the remedy after 96 election. We presented a remedy. The center was not ready to listen to us. Autonomy was rejected. Then again in 2008, we presented another remedy that the revocation of Afsafa is a part of the process which can help the process towards the peace. But again, the center was arrogant, which didn't help the cause, which didn't listen to us. And as a result of which, the impunity that you are talking about is on a free dance. The security forces go out and kill. They kill combatants. They kill civilians, and you cannot do anything about it. We are mere spectators, and that's where we are failures. We fail our state, but the responsibility lies at the center. But one thing that nation needs to understand: if the state needs to come back to the peace, center needs to take the responsibility. UPSFAB needs to be removed, revoked. Security forces need to be taken to task, and this whole concept of stone pelters being treated as equal to the combatants is something which the nation needs to take the serious note of.
Okay.
And today's example is a specific example. Let me conclude on this.
Yes.
Is a specific example.
Okay.
This happened after the conclusion of encounter. The security forces, after the encounter, after killing the combatants,
What was the provocation? Agar
went
Rohullah,
out
what
on a
was the
killing
provocation?
spree.
What are the details that are emerging from the site?
And let me answer that. Whatever the provocation, let me admit that they were protesting. Okay, but the encounter and answer to the protest needs to be different. A bullet in the chest does not amount to a warning shot, please. You
Pellets
will
were
ask
also
thousands
used.
of questions if this incident happens anywhere.
Deshat
No,
Nagam,
pellets were also used.
the
Is not
information that's
the
available
answer.
to us,
You
Mr.
saw that in your
Rohullah,
report.
Mr. Rohullah,
You
you
saw
know,
in
let
that
me just bring in
in
the
your
facts as
report.
we know them
The-
at least, that
the
19
chests
people were
blood
brought
riddled.
to hospital with firearm injuries. These were not pellet guns alone, and there were at least 70 odd people with serious pellet gun injuries as well. Rahul Jalali, come in on this. The fact
But
that, you know, a
let me,
lot of them...
since you've
Has
said
all
so,
the
let me
bullets
give me
in their chest.
10 seconds.
Yes, okay.
You know, you do not know the sequence of this firing, whether pellets was used or not. It's a matter of investigation first. And secondly, look at the strategy of some of the
Can I
sympathizers
respond
for
to that?
extremists and terrorists, that they've started kidnapping policemen. There is also, and murdering them, and brutally murdering them. So all those things have to be kept in mind when somebody is attacking police. There is
These
a
people
chance
who
they
were
have to
killed
also
today
defend
didn't
themselves.
kidnap the policemen.
So therefore,
Let's not, yeah,
These people didn't
let's
kidnap
not
the
conflate
policemen.
those
No,
two
no, I am
situations.
not.
This is
I am
specific.
not. I am
These
not.
seven
See, operation is
civilians,
taking place and the
they didn't
police is
kidnap
being
the policemen.
attacked. They have to defend themselves. And citizens must realize,
And they do not
please
defend by shooting them in chest.
come near the area of operations. The warning is also given not to come into the area of operations.
This was
Because
not
there is all,
inside the area of
you
operation.
don't know
This
whether it
was
is
after the
post or
conclusion of
not,
the
because there is a
encounter.
possibility of more terrorists being there. So let us be very careful. Citizens should not come into the area where the operations
Okay,
are
fair
taking
enough.
place.
Having
After
said
the
that,
conclusion of the encounter.
what
And this
situation
unquestioned
allows for
operations
firing
are
at civilians
counterproductive.
above the waist? In other words, you know, these were officials who were obviously shooting to kill. There are enough bullet injuries above the chest. 7 people have died. Others are seriously injured. What are we to take away from this
Pellet
situation?
injuries also below also. So
All right, Rahul,
you need
Rahul.
to know the sequence,
Can I
whether the
come in?
first
Yes,
warning
of course,
was
it's
given.
very important to know the sequence, and we
Sequence
would
also.
want the Jammu
Yes.
and Kashmir police to be sort of transparent and open about that. The DGP of Jammu and Kashmir was supposed to join this program. We are told he's unable to do so for unavoidable circumstances. But Rahul Jalali, you know, these are questions that need to be raised.
Yes. Sure. I mean, look, there is a security grid in operation. What do you mean by that security grid? The security grid means that the army works in tandem with the Jammu Kashmir police.
Yes.
Now, what this was this unison between these two there on the ground today? I think these things need to be examined, because it is Jammu Kashmir's police responsibility to give protection to the army during an encounter from stone pelters. So they act as a barrier. What happened there? Now, nothing is known. Secondly, also there is an SOP established from how the army will behave. Was that violated in this case? These things need to be looked at, because you can't have this kind of incidents, because tomorrow you're sitting on a major problem in Kashmir. It just pushes back things. Look, you've had a fairly successful panchayat polls, 41% polling after the disaster, or the low polling in the city council elections.
Right.
You had this huge level of polling in Kashmir Valley. You had to build on that. Unfortunately, with the kind of political helplessness which these two political party representatives have shown, it is impossible to build on the successes, the gains of what the punches have secured.
You keep on killing our people,
so these
and
are
then
questions. And now incidents
go
like
and tell
this
them, shout
pushes
India.
the thing back. I think it's time the mainstream political parties come on the street and show what do they want. What is their politics all about? You can't just say we are mainstream and let
Okay, Agarulla, I want to ask you now. I want to ask all of you. I only have time for last comments. I want to know, will there be an impartial inquiry into these civilian deaths? 7 people have died. Who is going to be held accountable? Will we know the facts of what exactly happened? Let the facts come out. We need to know who is at fault here. Agarulla.
Of course, we demand that an inquiry should be ordered immediately, and a sitting judge should inquire about the things. But the larger point is, as long as AFSPA is here, these inquiries, these short-term remedies are not going to pay us anything. And we have seen that in the past. We continue to see that. As long as these security forces, including police, including army, including paramilitary forces, have this impunity under AFSPA, things are only going to go worse. And therefore, the nation needs to understand the gravity of this situation and sit seriously that AFSPA is dearly costing you the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and we, the people of Jammu and Kashmir, on the daily basis are losing our innocents, civilians. They may be protesting, but they are civilians. They are not combatants. They are being killed under the umbrella of AFSPA.
I'm going to have to. I will have to wrap this up over there.
This is not going to help us.
I will have to end this tonight. Thank you for joining us. No probe perhaps is enough to bring back dead innocent civilians, as Mehbooba Mufti pointed out today. It's been a tragic, tragic day. One we can only fervently hope will bring some introspection and perhaps some course correction too. That's it on Left, Right and Centre tonight. There's more coming up. Keep watching NDTV 24/7.